Hello, Facebook. What's up? It's Bex Burton here with another Tune-Up Tuesday. Get myself situated here in Mexico. Here, I'll cozy up under this glorious palm tree because it is 12 degrees here in colorful Colorado. But in Mexico, the weather's always splendid. Hi, welcome to another Tune-Up Tuesday, where I am supporting you and tuning your heart to the frequency of love so that you may attract extraordinary, outrageous, lasting, loving relationships in your life. One in particular, the one that lasts for a lifetime. And that is totally possible. I see you having it. Maybe we've never met, but I totally hold that vision for you. And today we're talking about how to attract a smart man. Move over, dummies. Oh, I'm so kidding, but it's so true. I hear this from my community a lot that, whether you're dating online or offline, mostly online, I hear women in my community talking about just receiving less than extraordinary messages from men, receiving the messages that are like, hey, and nothing else. Or, the text speak where it's like abbreviations and the letter U instead of Y-O-U, full sentences. And these are red flags for a lot of the women in my community because, girl, you are educated, you are accomplished, you got your career going on, you got a lot of things sorted in your life. And this relationship thing has just been one thing that just hasn't come together. So I totally hear you. And no, you don't have to waste your time with dating anybody less than extraordinary or anybody who's not meeting your intellect or matching your intellect. Certainly, if that is something that you desire, if that is a desire in your heart, then it is out there for you. So I've got a couple of how-tos to share with you today on how to attract a man who matches your intellect, who is a smart man, who speaks in complete sentences, has his life somewhat together, okay? So, and it really does start with you. It starts with how we're showing up in the online sphere, the offline sphere, just in general, how you're showing up in your life. So, one of the ways that, really is kind of foundational in how we show up is playing big and not small. And what I mean by that is, a lot of times we'll go online and we'll sort of downplay who we are or what we're up to in life, or not even what we've done, but like what we want to create in our life, our vision. Like, what is the dream that you want to live? Like, what is it that you want your life to be about? What do you want to create? Who are you? And a lot of times in the online dating, we're kind of like, well, I don't want to turn anybody off. I don't want to scare anybody away. But sister, the more you dim that light, the harder it is for your man, not just any man, but for your smart man to find you. So, the foundational rule here is play big, don't play small, because you're a BFD. And if you've been following me for a while, you know what that means. You're a big fucking deal. And it's time for you to embrace that and really accept that. And if you have, that's great. And if you're like me, you might be in your online dating profile just like shouting from the rooftops how awesome you are, which is also cool as long as it's coming from a really loving and connected way. So I'll get to that in a second, but that is a big deal. But coming back to this idea of playing big and not playing small, I want you to, like, this can be in your online dating platform, this could be on your first dates, or when you're engaging with men offline in social situations. We want to create this sense of uniqueness because, it's true. You are unique. There's nobody on the face of this planet who looks like you, thinks like you, acts like you, dreams like you, loves like you do. So how is it that you separate yourself from every other Becky out there, every other Barbie, whatever you call them? I call them Becky's because I'm Bex and whatever. But how are you different? How are you remarkable in your own right? how do you stand out from the sea of women on this planet? And that's not an invitation to shapeshift or like match the specific individual that's in front of you, but that's really an invitation for you to move into your own space and say, plant your own unicorn flag and say, I am special and unique because, and again, it doesn't have to have anything to do with what you do, but who you are, the way you think, the way you be, the way your heart beats, the way you love, the way that you care for other people. So I would love to hear some of your thoughts and comments in the box below. What makes you unique? I would love to hear that and share, so that, you get into practice about like really recognizing where you stand out. Okay. And then this other notion here, how we present ourselves, playing big, not playing small, is how will you pique his intellect? How will you draw out or evoke that smart, that intellect in the man that's in front of you? How will you pique his brain? How will you pick his brain? How will you play with the intellect? Or how will you be creative and evoke that smart in him, that sense of intelligence? And what comes up for me is the questions that we ask, right? How many of you are in your online dating practice are, sending messages, great, or receiving messages, great, and asking questions to kind of like break the ice or dip your toes in, or not really want to rock the boat, but get a sense of who he is before fill in the blank. Yeah. I mean, a lot of you, I know that is a practice. Like, I really just want to see, I want to know more about him. So I might just ask him what he's up to today, or I might ask him how he's enjoying the weather, or what he's up to this weekend, or yawn, 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 sisters. So just reflect back and imagine that you're on the receiving end of some of these ice-breaking, toe-dipping questions. Yawn, 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 right? And I know this because I hear from so many of you who get those messages and you're like, I don't want to fucking talk about the weather. Ah! So how can we engage him? What questions can you ask him that really make him pause and like scratch his head, shake his head, blink his eyes in wonderment of like, who is this woman? Where did she come from? I mean, that's the kind of response that we want to evoke in the men who you're engaging with. It's like, who is this lady? Like, what is she up to? And not in a bad way of like, but just in a really curious way. So what kind of questions? What are the questions that you're asking him? And the things that come up for me are, these slightly deeper questions that really blow the door of engagement wide open. So like, I mean, there's like the standard boring, what do you do for a living? Yawn, yawn, yawn. Versus, what do you do for fun? I mean, that's what I want to know about my man is what is he up to in his downtime? What does he do for fun? What lights him up? What is it that makes him him? How does he spend his playtime? What is play for him? Oh, or, if we're gonna flip it into like, okay, again, moving away from boring, 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 what do you do for a living? How do you define success? I mean, that's a really great question and that will evoke a man who's smart and successful to like really think about his success in life and like really take into account like what he's done and how he's done it and who he's had to be to get there. I mean, you're really making this man think. All right. So questions to ask these smart men questions that are going to make them think. if, about himself or about love. Hey, what's your idea of a great first date? I mean, that's such a fun question. And like, he can really like pull back and think like, wow, I mean, she's asking me, and here's the thing, like, this is not the end all be all way to show up online, or there's, the end all be all way to engage with men. But if you are suffering from the less than extraordinary messages in your inbox and your online dating platform, if you are getting just yawn after yawn after yawn, then you get to show up in a bigger way and engage with men in a playful way that really picks their brain and invites them to think, especially if you're looking for a smart man in your corner. All right. So this is also, I also want to direct you towards the language that you're using when you're engaging with these men. So, there's definitely like an element of being conversational in your online dating engagement. At the same time, don't be afraid to speak the way that you speak. Don't be afraid to use the language that you use. So, for example, if you are, if you're a thinker or if you're a writer, don't be afraid to write the way that you write. I have a woman that I work with right now she's an artist, and the words that she writes are like poetry. It's beautiful, and we do a little bit of tweaking and directing some of her language, but like, sister, I mean, it's so beautiful to see it unfold organically. And, as long as the message is clear, the point is getting across. I mean, what she's receiving back, she's invited a man read her profile and wrote to her and was saying like, I really love the way that you write. I think that we're like-minded because, and he's just gleaning so much just from the way that she writes. Okay. So don't be afraid to put your poetic self out there, your intellectual self out there, the things that keep you up at night that you think about, if you're an entrepreneur, like think about, all the different ideas that you have over the course of a day. That could be, a topic of engagement. Like, I am an idea generator. Put that in your about me. I am an idea generating factory, and I am looking for the man who will, be my sounding board and co-contribute to my ideas, and we can co-create together. All right. So that leads me to my next point, which is a little bit of a side angle to this, which is how are you contributing to his life? This is something that we often neglect in our About Me section, which is writing about what's in it for him. And again, this is going back to how we present ourselves and how we separate ourselves from the sea of women out there. But, how is it that having you in his life is going to flip his world upside down? Is it the intellectual conversation? Is it the deep philosophical conversation? Is it the soul seeking, going to outer space and back, mind melding? I mean, I don't know what it is, but or is it, like I was just mentioning, that the entrepreneurial, idea generating factory, the co-creation of vision together? These are some ways that you can be speaking and dialoguing in order to attract a man who is in his intellect, who's a smart man. Okay. And then as far as offline, because, I truly believe that our love attraction journey is not singularly online or offline. I believe that it's an energy that exists when we combine the two together. So in your offline practices, again, coming back to the vision, the goal of attracting a smart man, where do you go? What do you do to continue your own personal learning? You might be really smart. I totally get that. And are you done? Is that it for you? Are you done learning? So if not, if you're a lifelong learner, where do you go to continue upping your knowledge? What lights you up? What are the things that you love learning about? And are you engaging in those practices? Are you engaging in those paths right now? And what are the things that light you up and intrigue you? Like, what is it about, I don't know, 19th century European art that like fires you up? And are you in those areas that allow you to consume that art, to learn more about that art, to dialogue about that art? And that leads me to my last point here about attracting a smart man in an offline dating practice is always, always, always coming back to the way that we show up in person. Are you being engaging? Are you making eye contact? Are you smiling? Are you looking back and repeating eye contact? Because that's a big plus. That's a big bonus. When you look away and you return that eye contact, you come back for it. When men notice that, there's something there. There's a door that's been opened, a hanky that's been dropped. All right? So are you being engaging? Are you being dynamic? You know, I totally get when we desire for men to make the first move. I totally get that. My last telesummit that I ran was called Let Him Find You. Totally get that. But how do we make it safe? How do we make it known that we are safe, we're interested, we're approachable? It's being dynamic. So that is, you know, not just, it's not making it is making the first move, but in a really subtle feminine way. Dropping the hanky, you know, dropping the proverbial hanky, but in that eye contact way, or, you know, some engaging dialogue that connects him, that again opens that door of safety and makes it known to him that you are interested, available, and approachable. And here's the thing, it's a practice, because not every single man that you engage that dynamicism with, you get me, is gonna return, is gonna like engage with you. But the more you're engaged in that practice, the more that door opens, and it will be returned, and you can have fun and you can play with these other ways of being, okay? And inquisitive. Are you being inquisitive? Are you curious? Does your mind go to curiosity, or does your mind go to judgment? You know, because here's the thing, like if we practice this on all the men in our orbit, releasing the attachment to the outcome, and we practice just being curious, you know, it's developing more connecting energy, and it's developing, you know, your practice of engaging questions and playing with what are the questions that really stop a man in his tracks and invite him to think. Because when you invite a smart man to think, sister, you have got him by the brains. And he's really going to be, you know, so interested in spending time with you because you make him think. You push him. You pull, you call him forth to his greatest self, to his greatest thinker, to his, you know, his highest level of intellect. And for men who, you know, their intellect is something that they really take pride in, I mean, that is sexy. Okay? So I love you so much, and I am super, super excited to be with you every Tuesday at 2 p.m. Mountain. That's 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern. And I will be showing up with more conversations on how to attract conscious men and emotionally available men and all the other kinds of qualities that you're looking for in men that are not happening for you right now, you smart, sassy lady. So if you are struggling with less than extraordinary in your orbit being attracted to you, I want to hear from you. Drop your comments in the box below. Let me know what your experience is like. And hey, if you're interested in going further with this, if you're interested in getting like consistent support, accountability, feedback every single step of the way of your love life, then I want to talk to you. And I will drop a link down here in the comments section below where you can book a call with me. You'll fill out a little application before you do, and then we'll get on the phone. We'll talk about what's happening, what's not happening in your love life. I will give you some next steps that I see for you, and we will talk about what a coaching relationship looks like with me as your guide, because you do not have to struggle. You do not have to run uphill It can be fun, it can be joyful, it can be easy when you've got some consistency and feedback and insight on your side. All right? So I love you so much. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and I'll catch you back here next Tuesday for another Tune Up Tuesday, where we tune your heart to the frequency of love. Mwah. Bye.